Hi guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. I didn't want to start OJ too early because the OJ crowd would have missed it and that would have upset them. So I had to wait a few minutes. All right. We got to make sure our speed is 1.25 because we can't watch OJ at normal speed. We went through too many months of normal speed. And my eye is really bothering me, so I'm turning the camera off for most of this. We're looking good. Oh, sugar. There we go. Here we go.
If I could be heard on this one, Your Honor. First of all, this would not, as I understand it, be proper rebuttal, because we've presented nothing in rebuttal that goes to this issue. That's first of all. And I think that one's clear factually as a matter of record. Secondly, that means that it should have been presented in their case in chief. And the stain that they're talking about was observed by Henry Lee and by Mr. McDonald. Why they did not elicit the testimony from those people, I do not know. But they indicated that they were going to rest conditionally upon the court's determination of the admissibility of the Whitehurst issue and nothing else. And we asked the court specifically if they were limited in their conditional reopening to that issue, and the court indicated that it did.
All
Now,
right.
with respect to...
Hold on. Okay, what we'll do is, Mr. Scheck, Mr. Neufeld, put it in writing what it is you want to present and why it wasn't presented earlier. All right?
Your Honor, there's one other item.
Yes.
You may recall that when
Is
Mr.
that a candy bar wrapper?
Well, no, it's a syringe wrapper.
Okay.
On April 11th, 1995, when I, in the company of Joellen Demetrius and Bob Blazer, interviewed the nurse, Mr. Paratus, at the infirmary at the police department headquarters, we asked him which syringe he used to draw blood from Mr. Simpson on June 13th. And he opened the drawer and he showed us a syringe, and he gave us all the specs on the syringe. And it's a Becton Dickinson 10 cc syringe with the calibrations right on it. We went out and we purchased these with the hope of obviously introducing them when he took the witness stand. He's not taking the witness stand, as you know. He had these same syringes with him when he did the demonstration for Mr. Goldberg. However, you can't see the actual syringe in frame. I mean, you know it's a needle, but you can't see the calibrations because the syringe is being held too far away.
Well, let me jump way ahead of you, Mr. Neufeld. What you want to do is introduce that syringe in front of the jury. So we can do this one of two ways. Either the prosecution can stipulate that that's the syringe that is in use at the Parker Center Infirmary, or you'll have to get somebody from Parker Center to come over and say, this is the syringe we use.
Well, just so you know where we stand on this, I already gave one of these to Mr. Goldberg with the hope that he would agree to a stipulation. Otherwise, what I might have to do is I want to avoid calling either Mr. Goldberg or Mr. Blazer because they were the ones who were actually there and know what he said. Now, it may be that they're using different syringes now at Parker Center. I don't know the answer to that question. But the easiest thing would be simply to stipulate, and otherwise you will have to call additional witnesses, you're right. And I want to avoid that. That's all.
But see, here's the problem. As a
Clearly
matter of
you don't
evidence,
want to
how do you
avoid
propose
that.
to do that by other people's statements?
Well, no, I can call. One thing I could do, if I can't get a stipulation, is I would call, first of all, I could call Hank Goldberg
No,
as to
you
what kind of
can't.
syringe Mr. Paratus was using in that demonstration.
Is this his first day as a lawyer? Has he never lawyered it before? You can't call Goldberg as a witness.
He did on July 27th at his house.
Not necessary. You can call Oppler.
No, Oppler won't know the syringe, I'm afraid. And I already asked Ms. I think her name was Ramirez, whether she remembered it, and she didn't. So they don't have the specs on it. Mr. Goldberg was the person who had frequent conversations with Mr. Paratus and would be the person who, did this with him that day, frankly. He directed it.
As a matter of hearsay, contemplate how you're going to do that. All right. I would suggest try to stipulate first, and if not, call somebody from the infirmary as to what's in stock. Because that's B&D is a standard medical supply.
Oh, no. But what I'm explaining is that that Mr. Paratus showed us the packaging so we know which model number and everything else. And this is, in fact, an exact duplicate of the needle of the syringe described by Mr. Paratus.
All right, well, maybe I'm not making myself clear at this point. Okay, we'll be in recess 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Thank you all. I'm sorry?
You got those witnesses, the Allen brothers, Dale Davidson, Wax.
All right, back on the record in the Simpson matter. Mr. Simpson is again present before the court with his counsel, Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Cochran, Mr. Blazer, Mr. Neufeld, Mr. Scheck. People represented by Ms. Clark, Mr. Hodgman, and Mr. Kelber. Jury is not present. The record should reflect that earlier this morning the court had a brief chambers conference with counsel off the record as the court wanted to determine the course of our proceedings today. I understand Mr. Shapiro is going to be offering the testimony of Detective Van Adder, and I understand that the prosecution is going to resist recalling Detective Van Adder. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. I'll hear the proffer from Mr. Shapiro. Good morning, counsel.
Good morning, Your Honor, and thank you very much. Your Honor, we asked the court to allow us to recall Deputy Philip Van Adder based on newly discovered evidence. Detective Philip Van Adder, based on newly discovered evidence that was provided to us last Friday by Mr. Hodgman of the District Attorney's Office in chambers with Your Honor. And that basic information concerns statements that are attributed to Deputy Van Adder made in the presence of at least 3 people who say they heard the statements and 2 other people who were present who may or may not have heard those statements. And those statements were made in January and February of this year. The first statement concerns a conversation that took place with Detective Van Adder, Detective Lang, Deputy District Attorney Davidson, Larry Fiato, and Craig Fiato. They were meeting in a hotel room, going over testimony for presentation on behalf of the witnesses for the district attorney in a homicide case known as the Christie case.
What's the present status of the Christie case?
You're going to have to inquire with the district attorney, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
What is the present status of the Christie case?
The last I heard was that the case is nearing completion. In fact, I believe they were resumed on Friday. It's in Judge Flynn's court.
So that's actually, put it on the context,
Yeah, okay.
there were 2 defendants who were convicted February of this year, I believe. And then 1 defendant set for retrial who has just completed the retrial in Judge Flynn's court.
All right.
Almost completed the retrial. I think it's still in litigation.
All right, thank you.
A conversation allegedly took place in a hotel room where Detective Van Adder was allegedly quoted as saying by Mr. Larry Fiato that regarding the O.J. Simpson case, we went over to Rockingham because he was a suspect. The husband is always a suspect. He was interviewed upon getting that information in the last week or 2 by Mr. Hodgman and Mr. Kelberg, and he made those statements to these members of the district attorney's office in a tape-recorded interview.
You gotta be kidding me.
He then
You're saying that Mr. Larry Fiato confirmed the report of that statement having been made back in January or February?
correct.
Okay.
He also said that at a later time, perhaps in February of that year, he was having a cigarette on the 18th floor in an area known as the smoking area with Detective Van Adder, and at that time Detective Van Adder repeated the same phrase that O.J. was a suspect and the husband is always a suspect. 2 other people
Everyone is a suspect
came out
in a murder case.
during that conversation. One was Craig Fiato, who confirms that he heard Detective Van Adder say those words. And the second is Special Agent Wax from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They were also interviewed by Mr. Hodgman and by Mr. Kelberg, and in their interviews, Mr. Craig Fiato indicated that he had overheard that conversation, and those words come from Detective Van Adder, and Agent Wax also says he heard those things come from Detective Van Adder. Finally, the investigator on the homicide case, on the second homicide case, is Investigator McLean, and he was interviewed, and he says that he had a conversation with Special Agent Wax regarding the same issue. Apparently, how this came to the attention of the district attorney was that Mr. Craig Fiato was working on a special involving organized crime with a network investigative journalist for ABC. And just the next day after he had the conversation, a story came out that the defense was going to call a mystery witness. At that time, he thought he was going to be that mystery witness, so he called up the FBI agent who is his handler, who works with him, Agent Wax, and told him about it. Agent Wax then reported that to his supervisor, and eventually it was reported to the district attorneys, who met in chambers with Your Honor outside of our presence, went ahead, did their investigation, and have turned over that material all to us. So the essence of this testimony is that Your Honor has already made a finding regarding the credibility of Detective Van Adder on a search warrant that he signed under penalty of perjury. And in that case, Your Honor has found that Detective Van Adder demonstrated a reckless disregard for the truth in offering testimony under oath for the purpose of securing a search warrant. The jury, however, has not heard, nor will they hear that testimony. But the jury is going to have to judge the credibility and bias of Detective Van Adder. And in that endeavor, the jury now is entitled to know whether or not Detective Van Adder was untruthful to this jury when he said the purpose for going over to the Rockingham estate was to make a notification to Mr. O.J. Simpson, and because of the welfare and well-being of the children, that he was a concerned grandfather and he was concerned for the children of O.J. Simpson. We have always questioned that motive. We've questioned it throughout in all of our motions, and he testified before the jury on 3 direct occasions to questions by Deputy District Attorney who was questioning him at that time, that O.J. Simpson was not a suspect. We have specific quotes that I've given to Your Honor. 3 specific questions in a row. Are you saying he was not a suspect? Are you sure he was not a suspect? You did not go there because he was a suspect. Is that correct? I followed up on that line of questioning on cross-examination and asked him that question 4 times. And finally I asked him, it sounds like you've memorized this answer. So there was no equivocation whatsoever. Further, as an offer of proof, we have Detective Van Adder's testimony before the grand jury under oath in this case, and that testimony was that the reason they went over was because they wanted to make a notification see if I can get, it's on page 326 of the grand jury. Detective Van Adder testified under oath. The purpose was to make a death notification and arrange for the children. And then at the preliminary hearing,
That was the purpose. That was the purpose of going over there. That's what he had to do. It's a murder. Everybody's a suspect. Everybody. Until they're not. He didn't go over there because OJ was a suspect. Well, he went over there because Nicole died. He had to notify the family, and he had to investigate. He had to see what was going on. That's his job. It's literally what he's supposed to do. Everybody's a suspect.
Detective Van Adder was again asked those questions by Ms. Clark and myself. He responded, we went to OJ's to check on his welfare, the next of kin to the children. And then he goes on to say, if suspect, it would have been a tactical situation. We would have placed officers around the residence to secure it, and they obviously didn't. The purpose was to make a death notification and arrange for the children.
All right, Mr. Shapiro, the problem being you're quoting from various transcripts. I think just for the record purposes, you need to identify
Yes.
what page you're referring
From
to.
the grand jury, page 326 was the first statement. The purpose was to make a death notification and arrange for the children. From the preliminary hearing, volume 8, page 35 and 36, they went to OJ's residence to check on his welfare. Page 104, about the next of kin to the children. And in volume 9, page 14 and 15, Detective Van Adder talks about that if the suspect, if he was a suspect, it would have been a tactical situation, and therefore he would have placed officers around the residence to secure it. He didn't do that. Now, to put it in terms of its legal significance, the conversation with Mr. Larry Fiato the two conversations with Mr. Larry Fiato, took place prior to the time that Detective Van Adder testified before this jury and testified in direct contradiction to those statements. So it is a prior inconsistent statement that Detective Van Adder is making. The second area that we would like to examine Detective Van Adder on is the code of silence. And this becomes particularly important for several reasons. First, that in presenting the evidence that I've just talked about to Your Honor, both Larry and Craig Fiato talk about the fact that this is going to be discoverable, and there's no reason to make a big deal of this, and let's just keep it quiet, and why is the FBI so worried about it, and if they don't say anything, nothing will happen, but if they do, it's going to become very, very significant. I want to then, Detective Van Adder, on at least 3 occasions, has talked to witnesses that we have retained that are witnesses who are employed by government agencies and who generally testify for the prosecution. And we would offer, as an offer of proof, that Mr. Larry Regal would testify that Detective Van Adder came up to him and criticized him for testifying for the defense, saying you're a cop, and cops stick with cops. He gave that same type of view to Dr. Baden and Dr. Wolf, that they were employees of government agencies, and how could they come testify against the police in a criminal homicide case. That's the second area we'd like to get into. The third area is an area of clarification regarding the finding of the brown glove in the Rockingham residence. And that's just a clarification of earlier testimony.
That's the one that was on the
table in the
right. Okay.
family room.
All right, thank you, Mr. Shapiro.
Mr. Shapiro has the facts somewhat wrong and certainly has the interpretation quite extremely erroneous. Number one, the circumstances from the Fiato's perspective is as follows, and I'm going to quote Craig Fiato, who I think would be accurately characterized as somewhat of a salty figure, so pardon the language. This is all a bunch of bullshit. What he would talk to this court about is Van Adder was there at the hotel, but Van Adder was not a part of the Christie investigation because Lang had a different partner for the Christie investigation. Van Adder just came along. At some point, these guys are just, again to use Craig Fiato's term, just bullshitting, just shooting the breeze. And some statement is made by Van Adder to the effect of Simpson being a suspect, the husband's always a suspect. And it was a nothing statement. It was said in the course of a bunch of guys, quote, bullshitting, unquote. Like Phil Van Adder's going to lay out the prosecution's case on O.J. Simpson to Craig and Larry Fiato, who are, quote, mafioso-type people who have turned government witnesses. Okay? That's the context in which this statement initially is supposedly said. The statement is allegedly said to Larry Fiato and overheard by Craig Fiato. It was of such great significance, Mr. Davidson has no recollection of it, and Mr. Van Adder says, I wouldn't say something like that to the Fiatos, but if I talked in any sense, could be talking in general terms about homicide investigations, or could be talking about, as the court is well aware, allegations have been made against the police throughout this case by the defense, that the Los Angeles Police Department has done a conspiratorial act to convict an innocent man. And so in response to some kind of comment, for Van Adder to say sarcastically, you know, something like, yeah, sure, we went up there. Simpson was a suspect. The husband's always a suspect. The context is not that Van Adder made a statement saying, we went up there, Simpson was a suspect. That's not the way it'll come out if the court hears from the Fiatos. Number two statement, on the smoking deck, and it's because, as the court is well aware, the rules in the criminal courts building, so people who wish to smoke have to do so outside the interior walls of the building, and there are areas exposed to the outside where they can go, I believe, on the 18th floor. The Fiatos are here in February as witnesses in the retrial that Ms. Clark correctly identified as the retrial of, I think, the remaining defendant from the first trial. And in the course of a smoke break with Larry Fiato out on the smoking area, Craig Fiato is not present for this conversation. He is not a recipient witness to this. Agent Wax comes into the middle of something, and all he hears is a statement from Van Adder to the effect of, we didn't go up there trying to save lives. We went up there because Simpson was a suspect. Now, in our interview, I participated in one interview with Mr. Hodgman of Agent Wax, and there was an earlier interview. I was not a party to it, and I wanted to have a personal opportunity to speak with Agent Wax, and that's why there was a re-interview. Agent Wax said Van Adder was sarcastic in his tone and perfectly consistent with someone who's saying, yeah, you know, they're accusing us of all these things. Sure, we went up there not to save lives. Sure, we went up there because Simpson was a suspect. And these accusations have been made against Van Adder. Now, when you put all of this in context and you remember the immortal words of Craig Fiato to Mr. Hodgman and me at the conclusion of our interview, that everybody was making, again the language of Craig Fiato, a fucking big deal out of stuff that was bullshit. What he was pissed off about, his term, was that he made a call.
Qualified that.
Thank you. My mother might be watching this, so I would like at least to make a decent impression. He called, this is 9 months later, he called this man, Vic Walters, at ABC, who apparently is working with him on some possible deal, book, movie, I'm not clear. Unrelated to Simpson, has nothing to do with it. And Mr. Fiato is a little ticked off with Detectives Lang and Van Adder because of what he believes to be comments they made to another person about whether that person should be associating with Craig Fiato. So, Mr. Craig Fiato tells Mr. Walters allegedly what Van Adder said. And then what he does is he tells Agent Wax, who's picking these guys up to take them wherever they're going, that he talked to this guy Walters, and Agent Wax goes, not berserk, that's not an accurate characterization, but he had a definite reaction. And the reason, as Wax has told us, for this reaction is because after watching this trial and seeing the media coverage and seeing the spins that are put on things and the way that things are taken out of context that are nothing, he was worried that that is exactly what would happen here. Exactly what Craig Fiato was concerned about when he told us that this was all a bunch of BS that was being taken way out of context from what it was. But Agent Wax, no code of silence. He reported it to his supervisor, and out of an abundance of caution, it was reported to our office. They're not sitting on information. People want to characterize this as Brady material. Hey, that's for the DA, the defense, and the court to worry about in Simpson. Not our problem. We're turning it over. Let them do with it. And that's when Mr. Hodgman alerted the court. That's when I was asked with Mr. Hodgman to participate in investigating these materials. We have turned over what we have acquired. And what you get down to as a bottom line is the context in which any of these statements was made is certainly not one of seriousness. It is not conveyed as seriousness by the Fiatos. It is not remembered by the participants because it was not a significant statement. If the Fiatos wanted to make something of the O.J. Simpson case, as Craig Fiato said, they could have done a lot better job than just to make this statement. And they're the ones who are saying, this is a bunch of BS. We're going to have a trial as to what, in fact, was said. And more importantly, even if a statement or statements were said, what was the context and meaning? Now, with that, if I may have just a moment of silence, not a moment of silence. I may need that too. Just so it's clear, Mr. Hodgman suggests I point out, the original trial with multiple defendants in the Christie case was in February. There was one defendant on which the jury could not reach a conclusion. That is the retrial in Judge Flynn's court going on right about now, and that's why the Fiatos were out here being picked up by Agent Wax, where this statement is ultimately heard, because everybody on the 18th floor from all these cases have to wander in some common areas, and that's how it was heard. Incidentally, I have to also point out, Craig Fiato would say that he deliberately embellished on what had actually occurred as he's telling this to Wax to, quote, pimp him, unquote. And that at the end of all this, Agent Wax says, you prick. That's the context of all this, Your Honor. Now, how about a little bit of the law before I talk about the code of silence? This is nothing about the code of silence. Let me turn it around. This is nothing about the code of silence. The FBI came forward with information because what Agent Wax heard initially, with no context provided, but in the sarcasm in which it was said, was obviously nothing of significance to him. That's what he's told us, and that's what the evidence would support. And what he then did when he heard, oh, the media may get this, the media may put a spin on this, is he did report it. So that at least in a bureaucracy of which the court is aware, I'm sure the Federal Bureau of Investigation is, our office is, and so forth, the supervisors want to know these things, because the last thing they want to do is turn on their TV set at the 6 o'clock news and hear some story about what one of their employees allegedly heard or said and has become a witness in the, quote, case of the century. So it was reported and turned over. There is no code of silence. This is completely irrelevant to establish any aspect of the so-called code of silence. Now, with respect to the law, the simplest case to read, I think the court is well aware of it, is People versus Lavergne, Lavergne, 4 Cal 3rd, 735, starting at page 742. Just factually, you have a bunch of defendants who are charged with robberies. One of the defendants gets a deal and is going to testify at the trial of the others. First question on cross-examination of...
About the stolen car?
Exactly. And the law, so the court knows the facts. The law, from page 742, the defense sought to impeach Oliver, the accomplice, on what the trial judge correctly noted was a collateral matter. The fact that the car was stolen had nothing to do with the facts at issue in the trial, et cetera, et cetera. While collateral matters are admissible for impeachment purposes, the collateral character of the evidence... I'm sorry?
What page are you referring to?
742, Your Honor. While collateral matters are admissible for impeachment purposes, the collateral character of the evidence reduces its probative value and increases the possibility that it may prejudice or confuse the jury. Flipping to page 743, California courts have, in cases similar to this one, held the court's exclusion of collateral facts offered for impeachment purposes to be a proper exercise of the trial judge's discretion. And in fact, they go on to say on page 743 how it appeared that the defendant in the Lavergne case on cross-examination purposely elicited the testimony for the very purposes of impeaching the witness with this collateral information, and that that was not appropriate to do in order to allow the impeachment to come in as collateral matter.
But that's not the circumstance in our case, is it?
No, that is not the circumstance. I just wanted to point out how the Supreme Court has gone to even point out that one cannot deliberately try and create the situation and then argue that now that the situation is there, the party should be allowed to impeach.
But let me ask you this, Mr. Kelberg. The justification for the probable cause to conduct a warrantless search is pretty significant determination that has to be made, although albeit not in front of the jury.
That's the interesting point. I wasn't down here to conduct the examination of Detective Van Adder. I must say, Your Honor, from my perspective, I would have objected as irrelevant, as the court is well aware, as you've just stated, that issues going to search and seizure are irrelevant for the jury's consideration.
But the initial examination elicited on direct examination, giving an explanation for going up to Rockingham, was elicited by the prosecutor.
And I understand, and that's why I cite the Lavergne case. I don't think that Ms. Clark or Mr. Darden, whoever did the examination, elicited that with the expectation that 9 months later, we'd be down here with the Fiato brothers and everybody talking about it.
I would say that's a safe assumption.
But the point is, Your Honor, in deciding whether it's collateral matter or not, the fact that it was brought out but is not what I think is controlling. What is controlling is its relevancy to the issues before the jury. It is not relevant. The issues are relevant, if at all, on search and seizure issues. This does not go to code of silence. This does not go to impeach Detective Van Adder on any relevant point. And the important thing is, the circumstances of the statement, the clarity of what was actually said is going to be in dispute. It is not clear from everybody's account what actually was said. The only thing that is clear from everybody's account is that this was not a serious conversation. This was a bunch of guys at the hotel BSing, and the statement on the smoking deck was nothing more than BS and Wax's interpretation, a statement said in sarcasm, and he only heard the segment. He didn't hear what came before. He didn't hear what came after. May I have just a moment with...
Certainly. Any brief response, Mr. Shapiro?
Yes, Your Honor. As the court has correctly pointed out, these questions were brought up by the district attorney in their direct examination of Detective Van Adder. And the reason they were brought up is because the district attorney decided early on that they were going to be very defensive in their presentation of the case. And since we had let them know in opening statements that we were going to be talking about a rush to judgment, this was their way of diffusing a rush to judgment. So they brought that up. Second thing regarding Mr. Craig and Larry Fiato. These two men have been embraced by the United States government, by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, by the United States Department of Justice, and by the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office. They have been acting as informants. They have been vouched for as informants by all of those people as being credible. They have been acting in that capacity since 1983. They are personally responsible for at least 50 to 60 people being convicted based primarily on their testimony. When Craig Fiato talks on the tape of this being BS, he is not talking that Phil Van Adder is not telling the truth. He's saying, why is everybody making such a big deal out of this? This is making a mountain out of something less than a molehill. This really is not that important, and this is really going to embarrass us. this really puts us in a bad position, because now the police who we depend on for a living are not going to like us. It's very, very interesting. Detective Van Adder was not a stranger to Mr. Craig Fiato. They had met before, and Detective Lang had worked with him before. They had testified previously, 6 months before. They had testified previously, I believe, for them, but at least had worked with them before. And this issue really came up because of Denise Brown. And Craig Fiato told Mr. Kelberg and Mr. Hodgman that he was having an affair with Denise Brown. And the district attorney's office was embarrassed by it. And that members of the district attorney's office called this to Denise Brown's attention, that members of the Los Angeles Police Department called this to Denise Brown's attention, that they were being embarrassed. And this irritated Mr. Craig Fiato, because he didn't think that was fair, since he now, and for the last 12 years, has considered himself an integral part of law enforcement. So that's the reason that this issue came up. And what happened was Craig Fiato never told anybody about this, because he knew it had great potential damage to the district attorney and their case. And it was only when, fortuitously, ABC was interviewing him on an organized crime show that at the same time there was speculation of a mystery witness, and he thought, oh my God, ABC must have called up defense attorney Robert Shapiro and told them about this, and therefore they're going to know and embarrass us, so I better turn it over to Special Agent Wax, who took the appropriate position. So that's how it came about. There is no question, based on the interview of Craig Fiato, based on the interview of Larry Fiato, and based on the interview of Special Agent Wax, that Detective Van Adder, on 2 occasions, said he went to O.J. Simpson's house because he was a suspect. The husband is always a suspect. They repeat that consistently. It will be up to the jury to determine what weight to give that testimony, not whether or not it is admissible. Contra to Laverne, which has been taken and not properly cited to Your Honor as authority, Laverne involved extrinsic impeachment. This is direct impeachment. This is directly contradicting from his own words exactly what was said. And so there is no doubt about it. Here are the questions that were initially put to Detective Van Adder before this jury.
It's already in the record. You read it to me once.
I'm sorry?
It's already in the record.
No, I did not read the direct testimony at the trial. I read the testimony. I just said at the trial it was said 3 times. May I just, for the purpose of the record, read one excerpt, I think.
You should just give me the page site. We're talking about specifically volume 109, 19266, correct?
Correct, Your Honor. And I have given Your Honor 12 pages, if we could mark this as an exhibit and attach it as part of the record.
Well, I mean, that we're referring to the record that is in existence. We don't need additional paper.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, counsel.
Clearly, this is perhaps the best evidence in this entire case of credibility of a witness. And the theme of the defense, in large part, has to do with credibility throughout this case. And if we can demonstrate, as we clearly will be able to, specific and direct impeachment of a lead detective who has testified under oath on 3 different occasions, that testimony was not correct, that testimony was untrue, and that the true facts are, as probably most people would believe, that 4 lead detectives did not leave Bundy because they didn't want to investigate a murder scene and they felt it incumbent as goodwill ambassadors to go notify Mr. O.J. Simpson of the tragedy regarding Nicole Simpson, and nobody was left all day to investigate anything, and that's why this case is in the posture it is right now. I don't think any clear-thinking person could ever believe that. But furthering that all 4 people now went over there and did not consider Mr. Simpson to be a suspect is something that I don't think any trier of fact would find credible. It's essential evidence for the defense.
All right. Thank you, counsel.
Your Honor, can I briefly set the
No,
record?
no. I've heard the legal argument. Thank you. All right. What we have here is a proffer of a statement by Detective Van Adder, alleged to have been made to a Larry Fiato, a Craig Fiato, and FBI Special Agent Wax, that appears to be a statement that is inconsistent with his testimony here in court before the jury. As such, it would appear to be a prior inconsistent statement as defined, and I believe it's 1235 of the Evidence Code. I think it is a material issue. The explanation for the trip up to Rockingham, and I don't find it to be collateral. and I'm going to allow the defense to present the inconsistent statements by Detective Van Adder. Having said that, I am going to deny the request to go into Mr. Regal, Dr. Bodden, and Dr. Wolf, because I find the proffer is not of sufficient weight to go forward into that avenue of inquiry. And on the explanation that there is a clarification question on the brown glove and its location, I will allow that. However, that strikes me as a three-question area. Mr. Shapiro, how do you, in light of the court's ruling, Mr. Shapiro, how do you propose to proceed under 770?
Yes, sir. First.
All right. We may get to the point where it will become redundant or cumulative.
And, Your Honor, I think the court is aware there was a request. We have representatives, or a representative, I think we lost the second representative from the United States Attorney's Office concerning a protective order dealing with the Fiatos as witnesses. And in the event either one of them is called, I think that order has to be dealt with.
All right, Mr. Shapiro, after Detective Van Adder is recalled, who do you anticipate calling?
Your Honor, depending on his answers, we would anticipate calling Larry Fiato, Craig Fiato, Special Agent Wax, Deputy District Attorney, again, depending on answers, Davidson, Mr. McLean, and that would be our testimony. But
All right.
for sure, well, I shouldn't say for sure,
Well,
based
please,
on testimony.
Please, when you evaluate who you're going to call and in what order, my concern that it will become cumulative quickly.
Yes, I understand that. Your Honor, I've also talked to Mr. English of the United States Attorney's Office, and we are not going to oppose the protective order.
Mr. Gilbert?
And one last thing, Your Honor, for clarification, is this still part of the defendant's case in chief? Because there will be rebuttal evidence offered to this aspect of the evidence.
All right, I did not make a ruling on that aspect, but clearly the record supports this as newly discovered evidence since it was disclosed to the defense just last week. And since it was not available to the defense during what would normally be their case in chief, I will deem it as such, meaning the people have the right of rebuttal.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, we don't have the jury down, so we'll take a 10-minute recess, bring the jury down, and we'll start with Detective Van Adder. Mark. Let's have it quiet. Sure. Record should reflect we've now been rejoined by Mr. Simpson. All right, Deputy Charles, have the jurors, please. And let the record reflect that we've been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for the delay. Had a few legal matters to take up out of your presence. We're ready to proceed. Mr. Shapiro.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I'd like the court to kindly ask to recall to the witness stand Los Angeles Police Department Detective Philip Van Adder.
All right, Detective?
You do solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the trial shall be the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat on the witness stand and state your first and last name for the record.
Philip Van Adder, Philip Vannatter.
Detective Van Adder, on March the 16th of 1995, did you previously testify before this jury?
I believe that was the date, yes.
And were you asked questions on direct examination by the district attorney regarding your
What's
reasons for
a
going from Bundy
waste
to Rockingham?
Of
Yes.
time.
And have you had an opportunity to review that testimony?
I know what I testified to, yes.
Have you had an opportunity to review it since the time you testified?
To read the
Oh,
testimony?
that's
To review it in any way?
No, I know what I testified to.
Have you gone over that testimony with anyone?
No, I have not.
Have you talked to either Mr. Kelberg or Mr. Hodgman recently about the credibility of that testimony?
Objection, Your Honor, as to the characterization.
Sustain, rephrase the question.
Have you talked to Mr. Hodgman or Mr. Kelberg recently about the testimony regarding why you went to Rockingham?
I didn't talk to him about that, no.
Was that discussed during a recent conversation with them?
The reason I went to Rockingham? No, it was not discussed.
Did they question you about why you went to Rockingham? Well, let's put this in perspective. Were you called in to give a tape-recorded interview to Mr. Kelberg and Mr. Hodgman within the last 10 days?
Yes, I was.
When was that?
I believe it was last Friday.
Did you give a tape-recorded interview?
I did, yes.
Was that under oath?
I don't think I was put under oath. I was interviewed on tape.
And was the subject matter of why you went to Rockingham discussed?
That's in the context of the interview, yes.
Now, I want to direct your attention back to your trial testimony on March the 16th and ask you, sir, if you were asked the following questions and gave the following answers to this jury under oath. And I want to, I've given Mr. Kelberg a copy of this and Your Honor a copy of this.
Mr. Shapiro, are you going in the sequence?
Yes, yes. Okay. We're going to go now to page 19169. This was a question that was directed to you by Mr. Darden. Now, we have heard testimony that Commander Bushy ordered Detective Phillips to notify Mr. Simpson personally. Answer, that's correct. Question, okay. During that discussion, did any detective voice any opposition to scaling the wall? Answer, no. Question, at that point, did you consider Mr. Simpson a suspect in the murder of Nicole Brown and the other man? Answer, no. Question, you told us that Detective Furman cannot convince you of anything. Answer, well, it would be, I would take an independent look. I don't think I would be convinced of anything by anybody outside of my own. Do you recall being asked those questions by Mr. Darden?
Certainly.
Do you recall giving those answers?
Certainly.
On page 19265, were you asked, do you recall being asked the following question by Mr. Darden?
Excuse me, Your Honor, I object to having this read. If counsel wants to go into alleged inconsistent statements, that's what I understand the witness to be here for.
Oral.
Now, you earlier told us that Mr. Simpson was not a suspect while you were at Bundy. Is that correct? Answer, at what point are you asking, sir? Okay. Well, after your first walk through at Bundy, was he a suspect? Answer, no. And when you first arrived at Rockingham, was he a suspect? Answer, no. During the time that you were ringing the buzzer at the front of the property, was he a suspect then? Answer, no. And when you rang the front door at Rockingham, was he a suspect then? Answer, no.
Mr. Shapiro, are you going to go on that page?
I'm turning the page.
Are you going to a different...
Proceed, counsel.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. At some point in time, did you consider him a suspect? Answer, absolutely yes. And at what point in time was it that you considered him a suspect? He became a suspect as soon as I saw the glove at the side of the house. It appeared to be a match to the glove, the opposite glove to the glove I had seen earlier at Bundy. Do you recall giving those answers to those questions regarding...
I don't believe that's the complete answer to that question, counsel.
That's all I have here, Your Honor, so if there is more...
There's a continuation to that.
Answer, he became a suspect as soon as I saw the glove at the side of the house. It appeared to match the glove, the opposite glove to the glove I had seen earlier at Bundy, and then after coming out of the driveway and finding the blood trail, he became a very strong suspect. Do you recall being asked those lines of questioning when Mr. Simpson became a suspect?
Certainly I did.
And did you give those answers?
I certainly did.
Then on page 19519, this is cross-examination by me, where you asked the following question. Your purpose in taking 4 officers to go to the Rockingham estate was solely for notification. Is that correct? Answer, our purpose for taking 4 officers was actually twofold. Number 1, they could direct us to the location because Furman had been there before. And number 2, we intended on them helping us with the notification, helping Mr. Simpson to make a disposition of the children for us to meet Mr. Simpson for a later interview. Do you recall being asked that question by me and giving that answer?
Yes.
Page 19536, questions by me. To put this in perspective, 4 detectives are now taking turns pushing the buzzer device on the gate. Answer, well, I think there were 3 of us that rang it. I don't recall of Furman ringing the bell. Question, now Furman's role in coming there was purely to show you how to get there. Is that your statement? Answer, no. Question by me, was he coming as a backup unit for you? Answer, no. Question, was he coming to help you investigate? Answer, no. Was he coming to introduce you to Mr. Simpson? Answer, no. Question, was he coming to help you in a notification? He was coming, we were going to make the notification, and he was coming to assist Mr. Simpson if he needed assistance. Question, and he had volunteered for that? Answer, no. We asked him to accompany us. Do you recall being asked those questions and giving those answers?
I recall that line of questioning. If you're reading verbatim from the transcript, yes.
And do you recall, finally on page 19537, that, to put this in proper context, you were talking about the difference between an emergency situation and a tactical situation, and you gave this answer. If I would have had a tactical situation and knew that I had a suspect, or knew that I had a hostage, or knew that I had a murder suspect in there, it would have been handled totally differently. This was a situation where I was worried that something had occurred there, possibly like had occurred at Bundy. Do you recall giving that answer?
Yes, I do.
And finally, I said finally, but on page 19709, at some
I don't know about you guys, but I get really pissed off when someone says finally in the OJ trial.
time, you wanted to interview Mr. Simpson, and you say yes at some point. My question was, well, did you consider him a suspect at that time? Answer, no.
Your Honor, there is a difference in the page numbers between what Mr. Shapiro has from his printout and what are the actual page numbers.
Why don't you give me the actual page?
We're still trying to find the last one.
Do you have it?
All right, we'll correct that later, but
Did you have any notion at all that time that, and answer, I didn't know who the suspect was. Anybody could have been a suspect at that point, okay? Did you give those answers?
Yes, I gave those answers.
Is there any doubt in your mind that you conveyed to the jury under oath that when you went to Rockingham, Mr. Simpson was not a suspect?
There's no doubt in my mind. Mr. Simpson was no more of a suspect at that point than you were, Mr. Shapiro.
And you gave that same testimony before the grand jury under oath?
That's absolutely correct.
And you gave that same testimony at the preliminary hearing under oath?
That's absolutely correct, yes.
In January of 1995, were you in the company of an individual known as Craig Fiato, a deputy district attorney, Dale Davidson, an individual Larry Fiato, and Detective Tom Lang?
Yes, I was.
Is that hotel located in the downtown Los Angeles area?
No, it's not.
Where is that hotel located?
Sustained.
Just general area, so for
Sustained.
reference.
Not relevant, somewhere in the Los Angeles area.
And at that meeting, were you aware that Larry Fiato and Craig Fiato were brothers?
I was told that, yes.
And had you had known that your partner had had previous dealings with them?
I had previously met them prior to that meeting.
And your partner had previously dealt with them?
My partner was investigating a case that involved them, yes.
How many times had you met them before?
I believe one time.
And at some point in time, you were aware that Denise Brown,
Sustained. It's not relevant.
you were aware that both Larry and Craig Fiato were certified as reliable informants for...
Sustained. Legal conclusion, counsel. The issue is a statement.
Was there any discussion about your role in the O.J. Simpson case in the presence of those individuals?
There was a lot of discussion from Craig Fiato, yes.
Did you have any part in the discussions regarding your role in the O.J. Simpson case?
I think I responded to some questions that he asked me regarding the testimony that he had seen at the preliminary hearing, yes.
And they told you they had watched your testimony on television? Did Mr. Craig Fiato tell you he'd watched your testimony on television?
Yeah, the gist of his conversation was he was talking about the difference in personality of myself and my partner. That was the gist of the conversation.
During that conversation, did you state that you went to the home of O.J. Simpson in the early morning hours of June the 13th, 1994, because he was a suspect?
Did I state that exactly? No, I did not.
In sum and substance, did you convey to anybody in that room that the reason you went to the O.J. Simpson residence was because he was a suspect?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Overruled.
No, I did not. There was general conversation going on. If something was taken out of context or something was said in jest, I can't answer to that. I never said that O.J. Simpson was a suspect. O.J. Simpson was not a suspect when I went to the Rockingham location.
Did you say that of course he was a suspect, the husband is always a suspect?
Mr. Shapiro, no, I didn't say that. Anybody that has personal contact with a murder victim before they're eliminated is a potential suspect and can be a potential suspect. I wish I was good enough to go to a crime scene and within less than an hour be able to figure out who committed a murder. That would be great.
Did you state that the real reason was not to save lives, but because O.J. Simpson was a suspect, the husband is always a suspect?
The real reason was not to save
Hi,
lives. I went to the
Bobby.
location to make a death notification, to make a disposition of two small children, minor children, that were in police custody, and in the furtherance of my murder investigation.
Do you know a special agent from the FBI by the name of Wax?
Yes, I've met Mr. Wax.
And how did you come in contact
Wax
with Mr.
on,
Wax?
wax off.
Because Mr. Wax is associated with the Fiatos, and I met him through my partner, who is investigating and working on the case that they're all involved in.
How is he associated with the Fiatos?
I believe, my understanding is he is a special agent from the FBI that was working with the Fiatos in a undercover operation. That's my knowledge of it.
And how long had the Fiatos been working with the FBI?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Do you have any information as to how long the Fiatos were working with the FBI?
Sustained. Sustained.
And during February of this year, were you up on the 18th floor with Larry
My
Fiato?
eye is
Yes.
bothering me.
And did you go
So
out
I'm keeping
on the
my camera
balcony
off.
with Larry Fiato for the purpose of smoking a cigarette?
Yes.
And did you have a conversation with Larry Fiato and in that conversation discuss the O.J. Simpson case?
Larry Fiato was asking questions about a lot of things. I have not specifically discussed the O.J. Simpson case with anybody.
And
I don't discuss my murder cases with anybody other than people that are involved in the case.
And did you tell Larry Fiato that you went to Rockingham because O.J. was a suspect? The husband is always a suspect on the 18th floor of the balcony while smoking a cigarette in February of this year.
Again, if something is taken out of context, I don't have a specific recollection of making that statement. I don't believe I did make that statement.
Are you saying you didn't
May
make
I
that
finish my
statement?
answer, please?
Please.
Yes.
Any person that has personal contact with a murder victim is a potential suspect until they're eliminated, until the investigation is completed. He may have taken something out of context. I have no recollection of making that statement. That is not a true fact. I went to the location to make a death notification and a disposition of two minor children.
And you went to that location with 4 of the only lead homicide detectives and ignored the investigation at Bundy, and your testimony is for the purpose of only making a death notification. Is that your testimony, sir?
Sustain. Sustain.
When you say you don't have a recollection of saying it, are you telling this jury you did not tell Larry Fiato that you went to Rockingham because O.J. Simpson was a suspect?
I'm saying I would never say that because O.J. Simpson was not a suspect at that time. O.J. Simpson became a suspect after I was shown the glove by Mark Furman and after I saw the blood drops in the driveway. That's when he became a very strong suspect. Up to that point, he was not a suspect to me.
During your conversation with Larry Fiato on the 18th floor in February, did Special Agent Wax from the Federal Bureau of Investigation come out?
Well, he was out there a number of times.
And was he in a position to overhear what was being said in that conversation?
Well,
Sustain.
How large an area is this?
it's a very small area.
How large?
Well, it's very
Describe it to the
small.
jury.
It's maybe 6 foot by 6 foot, maybe 7 foot by 7 foot.
How close did Special Agent Wax get to you while you were talking to Larry Fiato?
Well, there were many times that we were out there. Everybody is in a small confined area.
Did Craig Fiato also come out during that period of time?
I don't recall ever seeing him out there.
Are you saying he didn't come out?
I'm saying I don't recall ever seeing him out there. I don't believe he ever was out there.
A moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
My
Why did
son-
you go to the hotel
My son is
to
driving
meet with the Fiato brothers in January?
my daughter to work this morning because I can't see out of my eye. Isn't that lovely? I could just stay here and watch this mess of a train wreck with you guys for once.
Because I was requested to accompany my partner to that location.
For what purpose?
My partner informed me that he and Deputy District Attorney Davidson were going to interview them regarding their testimony in a upcoming trial.
Why were you going?
Because Detective Lang is my partner, and he asked me to go with him.
Were you going there to work on the case?
No, I wasn't working on the case.
Were you going there to keep him company?
I think I answered the question. He asked me to go along in case he needed any kind of assistance. I accompanied him there.
This is not particularly relevant.
I just have one more moment, Your Honor. Did you, Detective Lang, Detective Phillips, and Detective Mark Furman all agree to testify that O.J. was not a suspect when you first went to Rockingham?
Sustain.
Isn't it true that from the moment you learned about the circumstances of Nicole Simpson's death,
Sustain.
We've been through a lot through this trial, but this is the stupidest part. I swear, this is stupid.
Van Adder, I want to go into one other area just to clarify other testimony regarding glove that you seized at Rockingham, if I might direct your attention in that area. As the lead detective in this case, was Mr. Simpson's residence searched for clothes, shoes, gloves, or anything else that may be significant to your investigation?
Yes, it was.
And other than a pair of socks and tennis shoes, were any other items of clothing seized?
Yes.
Was a brown glove identified as Los Angeles Police Department number 94 seized from Mr. Simpson's house?
I know a brown glove was seized. I don't know whether it was item 94 or not, but I know a brown glove was seized.
Is that the glove that was displayed in the videotape shot by Willie Ford?
I believe so, yes.
Were any black Let me just, one moment, please. I'll show you the glove that was seized. It's been marked as an exhibit. I'll show you a brown leather glove that's been previously marked
Do I need my glasses? Do I need to read
as an
anything?
exhibit 609. Is that the glove that was seized?
It would appear to be, yes.
And finally, Detective Van Adder, were any black leather gloves seized from the Simpson residence?
There were 2 additional pair of gloves seized from the master closet on June the 28th. I believe one pair of them was black, yes.
And that was not a leather dress glove, was it? That was a ski glove?
The additional gloves that were seized?
Yes.
No, they were totally different than a leather dress glove.
Okay. Were any black leather men's dress gloves seized?
As I recall, the additional gloves that were seized were heavier than what I would consider a dress glove. They looked like they were cold weather gloves that a person would wear skiing or when they were really in cold weather.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen, and I'll be brief. Detective Van Adder, just to go in this area first, and then we'll go back to the conversation issue. Were there any other ski caps, knit ski caps, seized from Mr. Simpson's house in the search for clothing and so forth?
You know, I would have to refresh my memory on that. I believe there were additional caps that were seized or were observed in the master closet.
And caps of a knit ski cap variety?
Yes.
Would it be accurate to say that other than this single glove, the exhibit number I have to say I did not catch?
609.
Thank you, Your Honor, 609. Was there any heiress glove recovered at all from the residence of Mr. Simpson?
No.
Now, going back to this other issue, you had testified at the preliminary hearing as a witness, is that correct?
Brief
Yes,
my
sir.
ass.
How did you feel about the manner in which you were examined by Mr. Shapiro at that preliminary hearing?
Oral.
How did I feel about it? Well, I thought he was a little antagonistic, and I was trying to tell him the truth, is all I'm trying to do now.
Have you, as a result of the exposure of this case, felt that you have been falsely accused? You, as a Los Angeles Police Department officer, have been falsely accused of entering into a conspiracy to convict an innocent man, Mr. Simpson.
Objection. Leading.
Oral, it's cross-examination.
No, he's called as an adversary.
Oral.
You bet I have. I've dedicated over 25 years of hard service to this city. And I've done a lot of work, and I've seen a lot of people murdered, innocently murdered. And I've attempted to do the best I can to come to successful conclusions on those.
Next question.
And, sir, have you expressed your frustrations at any time since the trial began about the accusations that have been leveled against you?
Objection. Irrelevant. Beyond scope.
Oral.
You bet I have, yes.
And in the manner in which you have expressed such frustrations, please tell us what you have done or said.
Well,
Hold on, that's a vague and overbroad question.
All right. Have you expressed verbally your frustrations to accusations specifically about the police conspiring to frame O.J. Simpson?
yes, I have.
Sustained.
Have you...
Answer stricken. Counsel, let me see at the sidebar with the court reporter.
Oh, but he's not allowed to ask this, but they're allowed to ask that stupid freak. Oh, that's frustrating. Hold on. 1447.
How's your paper? All right, thank you, counsel. Proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Van Adder, just to set the scene correctly, the case that Mr. Lang was going out to talk with Mr. Davidson and the Fiato brothers was not a case for which you were one of the investigating officers. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That Detective Lang had had a partner at the time of that particular incident by the name of Mac McLean. Is that correct?
Well, no, I don't think that's correct. I think that was way before he started working with Detective McLean. I believe his partner at that time, and I believe the case is a 1982 case, I believe his partner was a detective by the name of Souza when he actually first got the case.
And subsequently, did you find that he was working with Detective McLean on the case?
Yes,
And then you became his partner. Is that correct?
that's correct, yes.
Now, in the course of being here for the Simpson case, in January and February, was the case for which the Fiato brothers were witnesses also going on in the same building?
That's correct, yes.
And our offices are, among other places, on the 18th floor of this building.
Yes, sir.
And from your experiences, has it been common to see witnesses from a lot of different cases wandering around in common areas?
Many, many people are up there, yes.
And because of the code regulations, smoking is not permitted inside the building, is that correct?
That's correct.
So if people want to smoke, from whatever case they may be coming to the building for the purpose of being witnesses, they've got to go to designated areas, is that correct?
They've got to be on the outside, yes, that's correct.
And would be accurate to say that that is where you and Larry Fiato would spend some time smoking cigarettes?
That's correct, yes.
Now, going back to the, just the initial finding at Bundy, would it be accurate to say that you saw no evidence which, in your 25 years of experience, led you to believe Nicole Brown Simpson was the victim of a rape?
I didn't even know what her cause of death was at that point. All I knew was that the two victims appeared to have massive injuries. I didn't even know what the cause of death was. How could I make a determination on anything?
Did you see any evidence that indicated to you there was a robbery?
Nothing. Again, I had a very brief walkthrough by Ron Phillips, who pointed out certain items of evidence. And I couldn't, at that point, answer that question because I didn't know what had occurred there.
Did you see any evidence that caused you to believe there had been a burglary?
The front door of the residence was standing open. That was a possibility. I didn't see any ransacking, but again, I only got a real brief walkthrough.
Now, in your experience, have you found that where women who have been either the wives or ex-wives have been in a relationship with a man, either a married relationship or a living relationship, that when such a woman is killed, that statistically the killer is most commonly associated with the husband, the ex-husband, or the live-in?
Nope. Only one person makes objections, and I'm hearing too much noise over here. The objection's sustained. Rephrase the question.
Detective
What do you mean
Van Adder, in your
sustained?
experience,
What?
may I have a moment?
Wait, why is that sustained? They opened this door wide. The defense opened this door.
Detective Van Adder, bottom line, if you thought Mr. Simpson was a suspect when you first are going from Bundy to Rockingham, number one, would you have told that to this jury?
You bet I would have.
Would you have told it to the judge at the preliminary hearing?
Yes, sir. You bet I would have.
Would you have told it to the grand jury?
I would have told it to anybody that asked me.
Is there any reason in your mind why you would not have said that if that is in fact how you honestly felt at that particular time?
That is not a true statement. I wouldn't say something like that. The truth of the matter is, Mr. Simpson was not a suspect. I went there to make a death notification and a disposition of 2 minor children. That was my purpose for going to that location.
And wouldn't you agree, sir, that it would have been very easy for you to say, if you wanted to, that Mr. Simpson, of course, was a suspect, if you wanted to?
Sustained. Speculation.
I have one more moment.
Sir.
Detective Van Adder, when you were with the Fiatos, Detective Lang, and Mr. Davidson, did you joke around with these people?
Yes.
If somebody characterized it as a bunch of guys bullshitting at times, would that be an accurate characterization of what took place at times during that hotel visit?
That was mainly my contact with the Fiatos would be characterized as that, yes.
Would the same apply to any conversations that you may have had with Larry Fiato on a smoking deck while you were here for the Simpson case and he was here for whatever case it was, he was a witness?
Absolutely. I had no business with him whatsoever.
Did you ever speak seriously to Larry Fiato about the Simpson case?
Absolutely not.
Is there any reason why you would speak seriously about the Simpson case to a witness on another case?
No. Again, I don't talk to anybody about the particulars of my murder cases.
I have nothing for you, Ron.
Mr. Shapiro?
Would you agree, Detective Van Adder, that it would be improper for a lead detective to talk about anything regarding a pending case with anyone else other than law enforcement, officers, witnesses, or prosecutors?
I don't know that I would totally agree with that because everybody in the world has been talking about this case. I never had any specific conversations with anybody regarding this case other than my partner, my supervisors, the district attorney's office is prosecuting the case. And witnesses, when you interview them, you have to ask them specific questions. I do not discuss specifics of any case with anybody that does not have a need to know what those specifics are.
And have you ever made the statement, the husband is always a suspect as it relates to the O.J. Simpson case?
Your Honor, it's been asked and answered.
Sustained.
Is it your testimony that the only 4 investigating homicide detectives were at the Bundy crime scene and all 4 left for the sole purpose of making a notification of to O.J. Simpson and for taking care of his minor children?
Been asked and answered.
It has.
Thank you. Nothing further.
I have nothing further.
All right, Detective, thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. The document has just come down to me, refresh the witness's memory about something that I asked initially. Could I just take a look at the document?
Yes.
May I ask the witness to be allowed to be recalled?
All right, Detective.
And may I be allowed to reopen my cross?
All right,
on
why
a very limited area?
don't you show this document to Mr. Shapiro so he knows what we're talking about?
Do we have an extra copy? Detective Van Adder, showing you a document. Does that appear to be a Los Angeles Police Department property report listing various items recovered from Mr. Simpson's residence?
Yes, sir, it does.
Would looking over that report refresh your memory regarding what, if any, additional ski knit caps were recovered?
Yes,
And would you please do so?
certainly. Item 95 was a navy blue watch cap, knit cap.
And is there also item number 98?
That's correct. There was an additional one, item 98, a watch cap navy blue in color.
And the additional gloves that were recovered, are they also identified on this form, 99 and 100, are the item numbers? That is the one
Yes.
ones other than the exhibit that you were shown.
Yes, sir, they are.
And what description can you give us regarding those?
Item 99 is 2 gloves, brown in color, native deerskin. Item 100 is 2 gloves, leather, black, made in Western Germany.
And they were neither set of gloves Eris, is that correct?
No, sir, they were not.
And this is the only Eris glove, this exhibit, that was recovered from Mr. Simpson's house?
That's correct, yes.
One moment. Now, Ms. Clark tells me that the jury has not seen this glove. Could I pass that to the jury?
All right, this is previously 609.
I think that's the number you gave me, Your Honor.
Yes, it is.
May I pass it to the jury?
You may.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Calvary, would you collect that from Deputy Long, please? All right, the records reflect that each of the jurors has had the opportunity to examine People's Exhibit 609, which appears to be a brown leather glove. Mr. Shapiro.
Detective Van Adder, so we're all clear. This brown glove is the only glove of a dress description that was found inside O.J. Simpson's residence. Is that correct?
To my knowledge, yes.
And this is not the same glove based on lining, stitching, and other material as the gloves you've described as the gloves found at the murder scene.
I'm sick and
That's
tired
not
of
the
this
same
whole
glove as
line
the
of
Aeroslite. No,
questions.
it's not.
This is
And
stupid.
the other gloves that you found, the men's black gloves, were found in a ski closet with other ski equipment. Is that correct?
As I recall, they were found in the master closet in the
A
bedroom.
ski
Were they
closet.
separated by ski equipment?
Well, as I recall, the clothing in the closet was very orderly, and I believe they were separated with other gloves, and everything in the drawers were separated in a orderly fashion.
Are you sure they were not found in a ski closet with ski clothes that belonged to both men and women and children?
I'm not positive of that because I was not the one that actually recovered them.
And isn't it a fact that a knit ski cap similar to the one you've described at Mr. Simpson's house was also found inside the residence at Nicole Brown Simpson's condominium?
I wasn't there. I have been told certain things, and I don't know that I can answer that question, but,
Right, he wasn't the one who recovered that.
You're aware that one was found there, were you not?
Well, he's the lead detective. Are you aware of that, Detective?
yeah, I was told by my partner that a child's cap was recovered from the children's bedroom at Bundy, yes.
Did you try on that cap for size?
Did I?
Yes.
No, sir, I did
Are these
not.
generally one-size-fits-all caps?
Well, I think there's caps made for children, and I think there's caps made for adults, yes, and they're a stretchy knit material, so they would probably fit anybody that wanted to pull them on their head, yes.
I know my ski closet right now is a mess with my ski equipment in the closet of its
Found at
own.
Nicole Brown Simpson's condominium is the exact same size as the ski cap found at O.J. Simpson's house, and you refuse to take it?
Objection, Your Honor. Both compound bleeding and assumes facts not evidence.
Assumes facts, not evidence. Phrase the question.
Has a comparison been made with the size of the ski cap that was found at Nicole Brown Simpson's condominium and the one that was found at O.J. Simpson's house?
My horseback riding closet is okay though.
Clarification.
My
period.
fencing closet is a mess.
Inside, I was corrected, inside Nicole Brown Simpson's condominium and at O.J. Simpson's house. Were those compared to see if they were the same size?
You're asking me questions that I have no personal knowledge of. I was not there when that cap was found.
As a lead detective, did you
Be
ask
right
to see
back.
for a comparison of those caps?
Well, I believe my partner was there. He would have handled anything that would have had to been done. And you keep referring to lead detectives. We work as partners. We're both responsible for the same thing.
And
So.
you talk to each other?
Oh, every day, yes, he's a friend of mine.
And did you ask him whether a comparison was made?
I don't know that I ever did.
Thank you.
I can honestly answer that.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gelber.
I can confidently say, Your Honor, maybe
Thank you.
must be excused.
Thank you. Detective, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, next witness.
The next call, the court please, is FBI agent Michael Wax. Court please.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's a matter I need to take up out of your presence before we call the next witness. Let me ask you to step into the jury room, please. Record reflect the jury has withdrawn from the courtroom. Counsel previously this morning was indicated to the court that the United States Attorney, as counsel for the FBI and other interested parties, was going to make an application to the court to modify the terms and conditions of news media coverage of this case if, in fact, one party or the other was going to call either Special Agent Wax and/or Mr. Fiato, Larry Fiato, or Craig Fiato.
I wasn't sure that it included the special agent. I thought it included the Fiatos. Perhaps counsel can.
Morning,
Yes,
counsel.
Your Honor. Good morning. Beverly Reed O'Connell, Assistant United States Attorney on behalf of the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office. The federal government made an application requesting two different safeguards for the testimony of Special Agent Wax and the Fiato brothers. First, the government asked this court to consider turning off the cameras to protect the likenesses of the Fiato brothers who have assisted the federal government in investigations, testified against Italian mafia members.
All right, counsel, I've read your
Okay.
application.
The second inquiry was to limit the substantive questioning of Special Agent Wax and the Fiatos to exclude certain areas, including identifying characteristics of the Fiatos, investigation techniques of Italian mafia organized crime done by the FBI, and methodology of the FBI with respect to infiltrating organized crime. So there are two limitations, one with the cameras, one with respect to questioning of Special Agent Wax.
All right, are you objecting to the televised coverage of the testimony of Agent Wax?
No.
All right.
I have no problem with that. I don't think the FBI has anything to hide, and I didn't think it included him.
No, some law enforcement
Right. I didn't think it
officers
included.
have undercover
Right.
capacities.
I didn't think it included FBI agent Wax, and we have no objections. We indicated that if they want to turn the cameras off on the Fiato brothers, fine.
All right.
We
All
would
right.
like, Your Honor, just if I might,
Yes.
an opportunity to talk to the FBI agent Wax for a minute before he takes a stand. We have his reports, but we've not been able to talk to him. Is that possible?
No objection from the federal government, no.
All right. Okay, we'll take 10.
Okay, is he? Where is he? Okay, so we can talk to him, we'll let you know. We're ready, sure.
All right, we'll take 10-minute recess. Mr. Cochran.
Thank you very kindly, Your Honor. We'll next call to the stand FBI agent Michael Wax, Your Honor.
All right.
Oh my God, they're going to keep this going. They're going to keep this going.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the trial proceeding before this court should be the truth and whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat in the witness stand and state and spell your first and last name for the record.
It's Michael F. Wax, W-A-C-K-S.
Mr. Cochran.
Mr. Wax, you're here today pursuant to subpoena, is that correct?
That's correct.
And by whom are you employed, Mr. Wax?
I'm a special agent with the FBI.
And for how long have you been so employed?
It'll be 24 years this October, or 25, excuse me.
And you're presently assigned to the Los Angeles office?
Yes, I am.
Now, are you acquainted with two individuals by the name of Larry and Craig Fiato?
Yes, sir.
Approximately how long have you known these individuals?
I've known the Fiatos since approximately 1982.
And in what capacity have you known them since 1982?
Sustained.
You've worked with them over the course of the last 12 or 13 years, is that correct?
Yes, I have.
Now, they've been witnesses for the government during that period of time,
Yes, I have.
and they testified for the prosecution.
Yes, I have.
Now, in this matter, just a few moments ago, you refused to talk with me prior to your taking the stand, is that correct?
Well, I was asked by the Assistant United States Attorney if I wanted to speak to somebody in the defense, and I said no.
Yes, well, that happened to be me.
Well, I
You
didn't know
refused to
that,
talk to
sir.
us. Well, it wasn't personal, I'm sure, but
No,
you,
no, sir.
you refused
Wait,
to talk.
wait.
Sorry. Okay.
You know the drill. Don't talk when the lawyer's asking you the question.
And I know the
And
drill.
you know the drill.
I know the drill, Your Honor. Now I remember the drill.
All right, thank you.
You refused to talk to the defense, isn't that correct?
That is correct.
Right. And you previously talked to the prosecution on at least two occasions, isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
On September 14th and also on September 16th, is that correct?
I believe it was Tuesday and Friday, yes.
All right, now, sir, when the Fiatos have come to California to testify on cases, have you been out here kind of looking out for them when they come here and testify?
Yes, sir.
And they've been to California to testify on a murder case down the hall in this building. How many times this year?
They've been out at least 3 or 4 times, I believe.
All right, I want to direct your attention back to the month of February of 1995. Remember that particular month?
Yes, sir.
And on that month, did you have occasion to walk out on a landing on the 18th floor of this building during the middle of a conversation between Larry Fiato and Detective Phil Van Adder?
Yes, sir, I did.
And Detective Phil Van Adder is the gentleman who just preceded you to the stand, is that correct?
That's correct.
And when you walked out on this landing, first of all, I want you to describe for the jury who was present on this landing.
When I walked out, there was Detective Van Adder and Larry Fiato.
And were they the only two there?
Yes, sir.
And this landing, is this an area where people go to smoke outside of this building?
Yes, on the 18th floor.
Do you know how long these two individuals had been out there before you went out there?
I believe it was only a matter of minutes.
A short time?
Yes, sir.
And you were there in furtherance of your duties of kind of looking after the Fiato brothers, is that correct?
Partly. I was also going out to have a cigarette.
All right, but you were up in the DA's office because you were at the Fiato?
Yes, sir, I was.
All right. Now, you still smoke?
Unfortunately,
You
yes.
don't have to answer that. All right. Now, at any rate, you walked out there, and when you walked out there, you heard some conversation that went on between Detective Van Adder and Larry Fiato, isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Oh. And what you heard was you heard Detective Van Adder state to Larry, I'm calling this an adverse witness, Your Honor. Adverse witness?
Proceed, not until it's necessary, counsel. Not until there's a showing that it's necessary. Proceed.
Talk to us. Okay,
I understand, counsel. Ask him a question, and let's see what the response is.
All right, certainly, Your Honor.
I can't hear counsel's remarks to the court when he's so OJ.
I know. Proceed.
All right.
Should be clear.
Yes,
Proceed.
That's right, thank you. Now, when you walked out there, you heard Detective Van Adder make a statement to Larry Fiato, isn't that correct? You can answer that yes or no?
Yes.
And what statement did you hear Detective Van Adder say to Larry Fiato?
Well, I can't give you the exact quote. It was more of a comment, something to the effect of not going up to the house to save victims, and that he was a suspect.
All right, well, let me ask you specifically if this is what you indicated in your interview on September 16, 1995 in the DA's office. Quote, "We didn't go up there with the intention of saving lives. He was the suspect." Isn't that what you said? He said?
I said that I heard something to that effect. I also said in the statement, I do not recall the exact words.
All right. Well, is that as close as you can remember as you sit here now?
It's something to that effect, yes.
All right. That when they went to the Simpsons' Rockingham residence, they didn't go there with the intention of saving lives, but because O.J. Simpson was a suspect, right?
It was something to the effect that we went up to the house with no intention of saving lives, that he was a suspect.
All right.
I never heard the word Mr. Simpson's name mentioned, nor did I hear the Rockingham house mentioned. I just heard house.
But you knew that Detective Van Adder was talking about O.J. Simpson, isn't that correct?
I assumed he was, yes.
Right. Because you knew from conversations with the Fiato brothers that there had been an earlier conversation in January of 1995. Isn't that correct?
Sustained.
Well,
Wait a second. Wait.
let me phrase it
Stop.
another way, Your Honor. Weren't you aware?
Stop. Is he saying he knows he was talking about O.J. Simpson because months later they were having a conversation about O.J. Simpson? What?
Through conversations with the Fiato brothers. But there had been an earlier conversation in a hotel room downtown here. Let me finish, counsel.
Sustained. Sustained.
Well, with regard.
Sustained hearsay, counsel, at this point.
All right. All right, at any rate, there's no doubt in your mind he was talking about the O.J. Simpson case, was there?
Yeah, no.
All right. In fact, you were quite surprised that Detective Van Adder would be discussing the Simpson case with Larry Fiato. Isn't that correct?
Sustained.
Were you surprised that Detective Van Adder would be discussing the Simpson case with Larry Fiato?
I was somewhat surprised, yes.
All right. That's not something you would do, is it?
Discuss the Simpson case with
No, discuss one. Well, no, you wouldn't even discuss the Simpson case with me, so I'm sure you wouldn't. But that's not something that you would do in discussing one of your cases with a witness somewhere, would you?
Normally not, no.
Now, after this conversation, after the part that you heard, you then were out on the landing with the two of them. Is that correct?
Yes, we were out there for a brief period after that, yes.
How much longer were you out there before that conversation terminated?
I would say just 2 or 3 more minutes, enough to finish the cigarette.
All right. And was there any further discussion during this particular period of time, now, the time after you arrived, about the O.J. Simpson case and what Van Adder did?
No, none at all.
All right. Was Detective Lang on this landing at any time that particular day?
No, sir.
Did Craig Fiato, Larry Fiato's brother, come out at any time during that conversation?
No, sir.
Where was Craig Fiato, if you know, during the time of this conversation on the landing?
I believe he was in the district attorney's reception area.
Right now, I want to direct your attention back to that conversation took place that we've just been talking about in February of 1995, right?
I believe it was the first week or two of February, yes.
First week or two?
Yes.
Do you have a specific date for us?
No, I do not.
All right. Now, are you aware whether or not there was another conversation involving Detective Van Adder and the Fiato brothers, wherein the subject matter of going to O.J. Simpson's house took place in January of 1995? Are you aware of that? Yes or no? Nope.
Overruled. You can answer that question, yes or no. Are you aware of any other conversation?
You can answer.
I'm aware of a comment that the Fiato brothers overheard Detective Van Adder make, yes.
All right. And when was that comment?
Sustained. Foundation.
Well, now with regard to that particular comment, you said that you're aware of it. And as a result of your being aware of that conversation, are you aware of when that conversation took place, the one between the Fiato brothers and Detective Van Adder that preceded the February 1995 conversation?
Sustained.
I'm seeking lay a foundation. Your Honor.
Proceed.
All right. Now, were the Fiato brothers here in Southern California in January of 1995?
Yes, they were.
And were they housed in a hotel downtown Los Angeles?
Sustained.
Were they in some hotel in this general area?
Sustained.
Well, all right. Was there a time when Detective Van Adder and Detective Lang and the Fiato brothers met in January of 1995 that you were aware of, sir? Right.
Overruled. Are you aware of a meeting?
Yes, I am.
All right.
question.
And can you tell us when that meeting took place, gentlemen?
Sometime in January, early January, I believe.
All right. The first week or first
Yes,
two
it was sometime right after the Super Bowl.
around the Super Bowl?
I believe sometime after the Super Bowl.
Well, let's see. Now, the Super Bowl usually takes place on the last Sunday in January.
Well, then it was my impression it was sometime around the Super Bowl. It may have been 1 or 2 weeks on the
All right.
early side of
Counsel,
January.
we've narrowed it down to January. Is there really a precise date that's necessary?
January of 1995, is that correct?
That's correct.
And at that time, this conversation that we're about to talk about, were you present during this conversation at all?
No, I was not.
And with regard to your knowledge of this conversation, would I be correct in assuming that you got the information about what was said during this January conversation from the Fiato brothers?
Yes.
They told you what had been said, is that correct?
Well, they told me about the meeting, and in the course of this meeting, what had been said, yes.
All right. And when were you told about what had been said
I
by
believe-
the Fiato brothers?
Excuse me, I believe it was the next day or two, whenever I went back to the hotel to pick them up, to transport them down to testify in the Christie murder trial.
All right. And this is during the time they were out here to testify, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you ascertain whether or not there was a deputy district attorney by the name of Dale Davidson also present during that time?
I was told he was at this meeting, yes.
Striking its hearsay. Here's to disregard.
All right. Now, were you, maybe push this for a moment, Your Honor. I may want to take a break, but I want to ask one question. I want to ask you one.
I don't think we're going to.
Yeah, all right. We're not going to leave, no.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our noon recess at this time. Please remember all my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves, form any opinions about the case, conduct any deliberations until the matter has been submitted to you, or allow anybody to communicate with you with regard to the case. We'll stand in recess until 1 p.m., and Agent Wax, your order to come back 1 p.m. All right, thank you, sir. All right, let's have the jurors, please. Get them out of the jury box. Jury's coming in, guys. I know we're desperate for volunteers, but yeah. And Agent Wax, would you resume the witness stand, please? All right, let the record reflect that we've been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel. Special Agent Michael Wax is again on the witness stand, undergoing direct examination by Mr. Cochran. And Mr. Cochran, you may conclude your direct examination.
Thank you very kindly, Your Honor. Good afternoon, FBI Agent Wax. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Now, when we left this morning,
You
I was
may
asking some
conclude.
questions about this conversation that you'd overheard in February of 1995 in this building involving Detective Van Adder and Mr. Larry Fiato. Recall that?
Yes, sir.
And by the way, are the Fiato brothers in this building today right now?
To the best of my knowledge, they are, yes. Where in this building, I have no idea.
Okay, they're still under your care and control?
They're under the care and control of another agent at this particular time.
All right, because you're a witness now.
That's right, sir.
All right, but they're still under the care and control of the FBI, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And by and large, their identities are secret, is that correct?
Yes, they are.
And they've been part of this program for about 12 years?
Sustained.
Just generally?
Sustained.
All right, but during this period of time, you have vouched for them and their credibility, have you not?
Sustained.
Now, this conversation that you walked out on this balcony, you described for us earlier what you heard. And I want to ask you specifically, did you, when you walked out on this conversation, hear Detective Van Adder say to Mr. Larry Fiato that is, quote, the husband is always a suspect? Did you ever say that?
No, sir, I did not hear that.
You didn't hear that part of the conversation?
No, sir.
All right.
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
You don't recall hearing that portion of the conversation that the husband is always a suspect. Is that correct?
Sustained.
All right. Did you hear at any time when you were out there, Detective Van Adder say, in addition to the things you've told this jury about, the husband is always a suspect?
No, sir, I did not.
All right. Now, in the course of this conversation, you described for us that you went out there to smoke yourself, and that the conversation continued over a period of time. And it's correct, is it not, that during the time of the conversation you heard Detective Van Adder and Mr. Larry Fiato talking about things like Detective Van Adder's house? Well, I'm
It's
trying to zero
overbroad.
in here.
Counsel, the only thing that's relevant here are the 12 words.
No.
Yes.
Respectfully, if the court allow me some leeway here, it has to go with what happened else. Well,
Nope.
Your Honor,
Proceed.
credibility?
Proceed, counsel.
Okay. At the appropriate time, maybe you'll let me approach.
Proceed.
All right. Do you know whether or not Larry Fiato and Detective Van Adder had spoken on occasions prior to this date in February of 1995?
Yes, I believe they had.
Do you know on how many occasions they'd spoken to before that time, the time on the landing? If you know, I'm asking you.
Or will.
No, sir, I don't. There was many times when we were put in into the company of Detective Van Adder only because where we're being required to stay in the DA's office.
I understand. So many times. Well, how many times is many?
Oh, I'd say maybe a dozen times.
Have you ever seen them drink a beer together during any of these times?
No, sir, I haven't.
You weren't in that hotel room back in January?
No, sir, I was not.
Now, after you heard this statement that Detective Van Adder made to Larry Fiato, did you and Larry Fiato have occasion to talk about that statement shortly after the statement was made by Van Adder?
We talked on the way back to the hotel that night, that afternoon.
All right. In the course of that conversation, did the subject matter of what Van Adder had said out on the landing come up?
Yes, it did.
Okay, you've answered that. You can answer that. So the subject matter came up, and you had a further conversation about that on the way back to the hotel?
It wasn't really a conversation. It was more of a comment by Mr. Fiato.
All right. Mr. Fiato made a comment on the way back to the hotel, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, we're talking to Larry Fiato, right?
Larry Fiato, yes, Your Honor. And you can't tell us what the comment was, but did the comment relate to whether or not Larry Fiato had heard? May I finish? Well,
Sustained. It's hearsay, counsel. The way it's phrased.
the way it was phrased?
The way it's phrased. Proceed.
This comment that you were about to talk about, or we were about to ask you about, were just you and Larry Fiato in the car alone at that point?
No, Craig Fiato was in the car with us.
The comment was made by Larry Fiato, right?
Yes, it was.
Did it relate to events of January of 1995?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for hearsay.
Understand? relate to events of January of 1995?
It related to the event at the hotel, yes.
All right. We talked about that briefly. Now, after that, after the conversation on the way back to the hotel, did you have occasion to talk again with Larry Fiato at any time after that about this conversation with Van Adder, after that date?
We may have, but I don't recall any conversation.
All right. Now, Detective FBI Agent Wax, did you, after hearing this conversation, ever report this conversation to any of your superiors? After the conversation in February of 1995, up until Monday, September 11th, prior to Monday, September 11th, 1995, did you report that conversation or the contents of that conversation to your superiors?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you have occasion last week, on or about Monday, September 11th, 1995, to report that conversation to your superiors?
Yes, I did.
And on what date did you do that?
It was, what date?
Yes, what date was it?
I believe it was Monday the 11th.
All right. So then let me see, make sure I'm clear. Between February of 1995 and September 11th, you didn't report it to anyone, right? Any superior?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay. On Monday, September 11th, you did in fact report it.
Yes, sir.
And did you report it to Special Agent Marshall?
Yes, I did.
Did you prepare a written report of some kind?
No.
You reported to him orally?
Yes, I did.
And that was on the 11th of September, is that correct? And then after that, it was on the 14th of September that you were interviewed by Mr. William Hodgman, the gentleman right here in the middle from the LA County District Attorney's Office. Is that correct? The first time?
No, I believe it was on the 12th.
I think on the 12th, the very next day?
I believe it was the 12th, the night of the 12th.
I think you're right, on September 12th. So that was the day after you reported this matter to your superior, right?
That's correct.
Do you know if your superior be in contact with the District Attorney's Office?
I couldn't tell you that.
Okay. But you talked to your superior on the 11th, and about 7:25 p.m. on the 12th, you then talked to Mr. Hodgman. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
Where did that conversation take place?
At the District Attorney's Office.
And was that conversation tape recorded?
No, it was not.
Why wasn't tape recorded?
I wasn't asked to be subject of a tape-recorded interview.
That's not against FBI policy?
It's against FBI policy, but when I came down to give the interview, I was never asked if I would mind if the interview was taped.
All right. At any rate, the interview started at about 7:25, and it lasted until about 8:15 in the evening. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Who was present during that interview?
Counsel, hold on. This is not relevant.
Well, I can look it up, but I'll move on, right?
Move on.
All right. And in that interview with Mr. Hodgman, you tried to be as accurate as you could about what took place. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And then, after that interview, there was a subsequent interview that took place 3 days later on September 15th, last Friday. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. Friday morning.
Friday morning, and that interview took place where?
In the District Attorney's Office.
Same location?
Yes.
And who was Mr. Kjellberg present during that interview,
Yes, he was.
along with Mr. Hodgman?
Yes.
And again, you told what you knew about this particular incident. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, in this conversation that you had, that you overheard Detective Van Adder making these statements to Larry Fiato, you never saw Detective Van Adder laughing during this conversation, did you?
No, no, I did not.
All right. And you didn't see him smiling during the time of this conversation either, did you, sir?
I don't recall whether he was smiling or not.
And you, during the time that you heard him make this statement regarding Mr. Simpson being the suspect and they weren't there to save lives, did you ever ask him any questions at that point?
No, I did not.
Did you say anything to him yourself at that point?
No, I did not.
So whatever concerns you registered or thought at that time, you kept them to yourself. Is that right?
I didn't really have a thought about it. It did mean very much to me. I didn't make any comment one way or the other.
Well, didn't you say that, didn't you tell the district attorneys when you were interviewed by them as follows, that I was just surprised because he's never discussed the case before? Remember saying that to the DAs?
I thought you asked me if I made a comment to Mr. Van Adder. I did say that to the District Attorney's Office, yes.
And what I was asking. I'll put it in context for you. You were clear. You did not make a statement to Detective Van Adder when you heard him make these statements, did you?
No, sir, I did
All right.
not.
You shared with this jury earlier that you would not discuss your cases with witnesses normally, right?
That's correct.
And you told the district attorney's office that you were surprised that Van Adder was discussing this case with this witness, right?
Yes, I did.
All right. And my question to you was, did you say anything to Van Adder at that time, registering your surprise at all?
Oh, no, I did not.
All right.
No.
Now, during the course of this conversation between Larry Fiato and Van Adder, did they discuss personal things? Did you hear Van Adder discussing personal things?
No, I did not.
Well, you remember in the...
not-
Okay, go ahead, please.
When I came into the conversation, it was either in the middle or the very end. The conversation stopped, and then we talked about some personal matters,
This is driving me
as we always
crazy.
do.
All right, as you always do. So when you talk about personal things, and I'd like, if I might just briefly approach
It's not
Bobby
relevant.
hates it too. He turned
Steve,
green.
you've got the statement in. The 15 words that are relevant here in. Let's move on. Very limited scope here, counsel.
I appreciate that. And
Let's move on.
All right, Your Honor. May I have just a second, Your Honor?
Certainly.
No, you've had 4 hours, sir. No.
You know who Vic Walters is?
Yes, I do.
And you met him in April of 1995?
Yes, I did.
And by whom is he employed?
ABC.
And, well, I have one other question in that regard, Your Honor.
It's not relevant.
Well,
It's not relevant.
all right.
Anything else?
I may have a second.
I sort of wish the judge was like this throughout the whole trial.
Mr. Kalberg?
Very briefly. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon, Agent Wax. Agent Wax, I was not present for the first conversation you had with Mr. Hodgman, correct?
That is correct.
And basically, it would be accurate to say that in the second conversation in our offices where I was present, that we asked you to tell us what you knew, much the same ground, much the same ground that had been gone over with Mr. Hodgman in my absence in the earlier interview. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And at that time, we did ask to tape record the interview, did we not?
That is correct.
And you had an attorney representing the Federal Bureau of Investigation who told us it was against policy to do so, as a result of which it was not tape recorded. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, going back to the smoking deck incident, it would not be accurate to say that you interrupted a conversation. What you interrupted was a comment being made by Mr. Van Adder. That would be accurate, would it not?
Overruled.
That's correct, yes.
You have no idea what was said, if anything, before you heard the comment.
Overruled.
I have no idea what he said before.
And, sir, in fact, the tone you heard in Mr. Van Adder's voice as he was saying the comment you heard him say was one of sarcasm, wasn't it?
Overruled. Counsel, that objection is not well taken. This is cross-examination. Proceed.
In my opinion, it was totally sarcastic, yes.
And from what you heard, it would be consistent with a man who was venting his frustrations over accusations that had been made against him and other Los Angeles Police Department officers. Isn't that
Sustained.
correct?
Sustained.
Now, sir, there was nothing about what you heard that you thought was significant. Is that a fair statement?
Overruled.
I put no import to the statement whatsoever.
Were you trying to hide something that you thought was exculpatory evidence for Mr. Simpson by not reporting it?
Absolutely not.
Now, sir, why did you report on September 11th, 1995, the comment that you had heard Mr. Van Adder make on some date in February of 1995?
I thought by what Mr. Fiato had told me that this information was now in the hands of the media. And I thought the media was going to make a big deal over nothing. And I thought that it was my duty to tell my supervisor that at least this situation existed and was going on.
And to set it in context, sometime around September 11th, Craig Fiato told you that he had talked to Vic Walter at ABC and had mentioned the comment that you had overheard Mr. Van Adder make on the smoking deck, right?
Overruled.
You may answer the...
Yes, that's correct.
And would it be accurate to say, sir, that you have followed some of the proceedings in the Simpson case over the last year's time?
Somewhat, like any other citizen, I suppose.
And given what you have seen, were you concerned that the media might try and make something out of that comment that would be out of proportion to its significance as you understood it when you heard it?
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
All right. Mr. Wax, were you concerned that the media might twist what was said into something that was never of substance?
Overruled.
That's exactly what I thought, yes, sir.
And that's why you told your supervisor?
That's correct.
And as a result of telling your supervisor out of an abundance of caution, the matter was reported to our office, correct?
That is correct.
And you were interviewed as part of that investigation?
On 2 occasions, yes.
And it was your understanding that reports were prepared of your 2 interviews with our lawyers, correct?
Yes, yes, they were.
And it was your understanding that we turned over, along with whatever else we had in the way of the investigation, those reports to Mr. Cochran and to the other lawyers on the defense team so they would know what you had told us. Is that correct?
I assume that's what happened, yes.
That's basically your understanding of how the process works.
That's why I'm sitting here today, I believe, yes.
May I have one more moment? further.
Mr. Cochran, you may redirect into the ABC issue. You're welcome.
Now, Mr. Wax, you became aware sometime around September 11th of 1995 that Craig Fiato had called Vic Walters of ABC News. Isn't that correct?
Did you say September or just?
Well, sometime around September of this particular month. That,
Well,
Craig Fiato-
I became aware on September 11th. Yes, I did call, but I believe the phone call was on the preceding Friday.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the time you became aware of it, sir.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes,
All right. The phone call was probably on September 8th. Is that correct, of 1995?
I believe so. Yes.
But you became aware of that phone call on September 11th, right?
That is correct. Yes.
All right, now, and you became aware that Craig Fiato was upset at the way he'd been treated out here in Los Angeles the last time he was out here. Isn't that correct? By people in the DA's office.
Now, are you speaking about the conversation with Mr. Walters, or?
Yes. Now, you became aware that Craig Fiato was upset with the way he had been treated by members of the district attorney's office the last time he was out here.
I became aware that he related that to Mr. Walters. Yes.
And you're aware that he made a statement to the fact that if they treat me the same way as they treated me before, I'll tell them what I know about the Simpson case. Didn't he tell Vic Walters that?
That's what he related to me that he told Mr. Walters. I don't know exactly what he told Mr. Walters, but that's what he related to me.
But he told you that I will tell them what I know about the Simpson case, right?
Yes.
And in that regard, he was talking about the two incidents, the one in the hotel room in January of 1995 and the one on that landing in February of 1995, right?
When he told me that, I wasn't exactly sure what he was talking about.
All right. But at any rate, when you knew that ABC News knew about this and you were concerned there would be a program regarding this, weren't you?
No, I was concerned that ABC News would, if we're talking about the two incidents that I knew about, that they were going to make a big deal over nothing.
Yes. Now, you'd met Vic Walters back in April of 1995, hadn't you?
I was just introduced to him.
And you knew that Craig Anthony Fiato was working on a program, a TV program with ABC that's supposed to come out this fall. You knew that, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You were aware he'd been cooperating with them. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And you knew, I won't go into the subject matter, but you knew what the subject matter of that was, too, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And you knew when he made this statement, strike that. You also heard that there was a mystery witness in this case, did you not?
Yes, I did.
And once you heard that there was a statement in this courtroom, there was going to be a mystery witness, you thought and believed that Craig Fiato and Larry Fiato was those mystery witnesses. Didn't you think that? I'm asking. That's what you thought, isn't it?
No, that's not what I thought.
You didn't think they were the mystery witnesses?
No, I did not.
Well, when you went and talked to your special agent Marshall about this, you told him what you had heard and what you knew about this, didn't you?
That's correct.
He then immediately told you this was important and contacted the district attorney's office.
No, that's not what happened.
Well, didn't he? Do you know what he said to the DA's office? Were you present?
No, but there was another sequence of events before it was reported to the district attorney's office that happened. It
Someone
caused
lost
him
their lighter.
to believe they were, or at least Craig Fiato.
That was the sequence of events. Someone lost their lighter, and they had to go into their lighter closet because there was none in their cigarette closet. That would just be ridiculous.
Was this mysterious witness.
All right. Well, let me take it a step at a time. At some point, after Craig Fiato made this telephone call to Vic Walters of ABC News, Vic Walters and Brian Ross, who's the investigative reporter, isn't that correct?
Well, he told me he talked to Vic Walters.
All right.
All right, wait a minute. The subject matter of this ABC report has nothing to do with this case, correct?
Well, it may.
Correct. All right,
Just tell
let's
me.
move on.
Well, they opened the door here.
Mildly, but now we've
Well,
explained what the contemplation was, what the issues were. We've covered it. Let's move on.
All right, let me move on if I can. Let me just get a sequence, Your Honor. After this, you became aware of this conversation was made to ABC News by Fiato. You then had a conversation with Craig Fiato, didn't you?
Well, I had a conversation with him on the 11th when I picked him up at the airport.
Right. He came back out here, right?
Yes.
All right. And at that time, did you call him some unusual name at that point?
We've called each other a lot of unusual names over the years.
Well, I have a
And on both sides of the...
All right, well, I understand you guys talk about each other, and I don't want to embarrass anybody, but did you call him a special name on this occasion by virtue of the fact that he called Vic Walters?
Possibly. Oh, because he called Vic Walters? No,
Yes.
I have no control of what Mr. Fiato does.
All right, you didn't go bonkers or berserk because he made this call?
No, I didn't show that much concern at all.
You didn't get all emotional?
No.
All right, now at any rate, moving on then. After that, you talked with him, and then you talked to Marshall after that, is that right?
After I dropped him off the airport, I had lunch with Pat Marshall
All right.
at another meeting, and I mentioned the fact that this had occurred.
And Marshall then called you back and beeped you or called you back the next day, was it?
It was the next morning, yes.
Early in the morning, is that right?
Yes, I was on my way to court, and, well, actually, I was at home. I got a telephone call and a beep. I talked to him, and he asked me to come into the office.
All right, you then went into his office, and that's when you told him everything that you knew about this, right?
I told Mr. Marshall everything I knew about it the day before.
All right, but at that time, he indicated to you that they were going to report... May I finish the question?
Sustain.
after this second conversation with Marshall. Was that when the DA's office was notified? If you know.
Call roll.
You can answer that.
I believe it was, yes.
All right, because you talked to Bill Hodgman later that day, that
That's
night.
correct,
Isn't
yes.
that right? All right. And that started the road to getting us to this point, is that right?
That's correct.
Now, you described for us, remember I asked you the question that you never saw Van Etter laughing during this conversation or whatever. You,
Objection, Your Honor, is outside the scope of the
Yeah.
limited
Call roll.
Anna, hi Anna.
thank you. In this conversation that you told us about, there were discussions about other things of a personal nature in this conversation, isn't that right?
Yes, there were.
And Van Etter talked about his,
Sustain. I've already sustained objections to the other matters.
I think what I'm trying to get at is based
No,
upon what he
no,
opened.
I've already sustained the objections. We've heard the pertinent part of the conversation. This is a conversation during one cigarette length. All right?
I don't know if it's one cigarette or more, Your Honor, for that matter.
Let's move on.
All right. Now, during this conversation, you answered to one of Mr. Kellberg's questions. By the way, with regard to Mr. Kellberg, you refused to talk to me, but you talked to Mr. Kellberg prior to your taking the stand, didn't you?
Sustain. It's outside the scope. We went through it once before, counsel. It's evident this special agent talked to Mr. Hodgman, then talked to Mr. Hodgman and Mr. Kellberg. He's talked to the prosecution. He declined to talk to you. The jury knows that. Let's proceed.
All right. Now, with regard to this conversation where you said that you believe that Detective Van Etter was sarcastic, did you say anything to him when you heard the sarcasm?
Same objection.
Call roll.
No, sir, I did not.
All right, and why don't you demonstrate for the jury how he said that? Tell us how sarcastically he said, we didn't go up to Simpson's house, we went up to Simpson's house not to save lives, but because he was a suspect. Tell this jury how he said that sarcastically.
Well, I'm not much of an actor, but he said something, in fact, going up to the house to save lives, he's a suspect. It was so out of context that I couldn't give you an exact quote or the contents of it, but it's my way of thinking it was said in a very sarcastic tone.
Now, you're right, you aren't an actor, but with regard to that, you don't know what was said before that, do you? Because you told us you didn't.
No, sir, I did not.
You walked out there, and what you heard him say was that,
Objection, Your Honor, leading and suggestive.
I'm asking specifically,
Sustain. Sustain.
okay, with regard to the last thing you said, didn't you tell us before that you heard him say that we...
Counsel, we've gone through the statement now five times.
I'm dealing with this particular aspect, Your Honor. I have a right to do that.
5 times is too many.
No,
Proceed.
listen,
Either
okay.
conclude with something that's new or sit down.
Well, I want to relate this part, Your Honor. This is on direct examination, if the court pleases.
Sarcastic. That's what you can cross.
That's what I'm dealing with. The court will allow me to. Now, with regard to this sarcasm, when you heard this sarcastic statement,
Why don't they
he
just
said
let
in a
Johnny
sarcastic
tell the
manner
jury what he
that
wants?
we didn't go up there to save lives. Isn't that right?
Something to that effect.
We went up there because he was a suspect. Isn't that right?
Something to that effect, yes. I do not know the exact content of what he said. I do not recall the exact
You
content.
gave us your best recollection of that. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
All right. And this statement was made, and you never made any comment at all. Is that correct?
None whatsoever.
You didn't think that was funny at the time, did you?
No.
You understand this is a very serious case about a man's life here? You understand that?
Sustain.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything further? All right. Thank
So
you
to
very much.
recap, we just spent our entire live stream with him pulling 2 witnesses that both said they didn't hear the whole statement. They never mentioned OJ. They never mentioned OJ's house. And it was sarcastic. And we just spent hours hearing first arguments and then 2 witnesses about this. And that's okay?
Next witness.
Oh, plus the
Who's your
ski
next
closet. Can't forget that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's a matter I need to take up out of your presence before we call the next witness. Let me ask you to step out into the jury room, please. Jury is withdrawn from the courtroom. Counsel, I have received and heard an application from the United States Attorney, Judge Manella, asking the court to take certain precautions if one of the Fiato brothers was called as a witness. I've heard the comments by the real parties in interest, both of whom have no opposition to the application by the United States Attorney. And I see Mr. Morell is present. I don't see Ms. Sager.
Your Honor, I'm here for the Slater. She's not happy to have Federson.
All right. Do you have any brief comment, counsel? All right. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'll be brief. I'm a lawyer with Davis Wright Tremaine, and I'm here today representing NBC, CBS, ABC, and Times Mirror. We've just caught wind this morning that there is a possible protective order presented to this court concerning Larry and Craig Fiato. We have several concerns about that protective order. First and foremost, we are not informed of any reasons for treating the testimony of these witnesses in this courtroom differently than any other witnesses. We've learned from the U.S. Attorney's Office today that neither of these individuals are formal members of a a witness protection program.
Excuse me. Based upon the order that the court agreed to with respect to what their status is or isn't, it seems to me inappropriate for counsel on the record to go into that.
Well, she's indicating she has no information. The application by the United States Attorney, though, for the justification is under seal. Proceed.
Your Honor, but we have learned, two sources today, two other media attorneys have learned today from the U.S. Attorney's Office just what I've said, that these two individuals are not formal members of the Witness Protection Program. I understand that there may be other concerns as to them. It's also our understanding, and I wanted to point out, Your Honor, that both of these individuals have not only been photographed by the media and appeared widely, one of them last night on TV was on several television programs, that both of them cooperated with ABC, as I think was reflected maybe earlier in the testimony today, in June of 1995, I'm informed from ABC, not only to have their photographs and being photographed on camera at length, but also to extensive interviews. And therefore, it is our belief that whatever interest they may have had about their protection, and again, we don't know the details, the information's been kept from us, that there is no reason not to have the cameras present and treat these as all other witnesses.
Do you have any of that information, any hard evidence from ABC, interviews, photographs, anything that would convince the court that these persons are not interested in protecting their identities or their own safety?
I believe I can get that. I think there's a person in the audience, Your Honor, but I need to check with her first. But I've spoken with the individual ABC directly, and they just provided me that information on my way over here.
All right, any other comment, counsel?
My only other comment, Your Honor, is that if there is any special consideration to be given to these individuals for reasons, again, that we're not told about, that there seems to be no compelling interest. I'm sure you'll recall Ms. Sager's frequent arguments before the court on the First Amendment, the need for a compelling interest, and the need for any restriction on media access to be narrowly tailored. First of all, the proposed protective order as written is certainly overbroad. There are many photographs already out there of these two individuals. The protective order as written is not limited to either photos or testimony given during these court proceedings. There's no time limitation. And we would, Your Honor, conceive of no possible reason at this point why at least an audio feed, again, if there is a special concern with these two individuals, and we don't believe that there is, but if there is, that there should at least be audio feed so that their testimony can be heard. The First Amendment, we believe, requires this. They're two critical witnesses, from what we understand, if they are allowed to testify. We're not sure that they will be, but if they are, and there's no reason
They
not to. We
are
also understand,
as
besides,
critical
Your Honor, and I
as
know I
my
don't
left
have hard
elbow.
evidence with me as to the ABC broadcast, that these individuals have, at least one of them, given interviews in the Boston Globe, other print media, and several other broadcast media. It's not just one or two interviews, it's more than that we're talking about. And as recently as last night, I'm told, there were several pictures of one of these individuals on local networks, and it was widely distributed and known.
Under interview conditions or surreptitious or candid conditions?
My understanding, Your Honor, the ABC interview is under interview conditions. These individuals were not disguised, I'm told, in any way, nor did they even request to be disguised in any fashion. I don't know if the photographs that were broadcast last night were in the context of an interview or if they were merely out on the town, but they have made themselves widely known to the public and to the press. They have not shied away from the media at any turn, and these are not the kind of individuals that are deserving of any special protection and certainly don't present the kind of compelling interest that's necessary in this trial to treat them differently at this point in time.
All right, thank you, counsel. Any response from the United States Attorney?
Yes, Your Honor. We have recently received similar information, and we would like the opportunity to confirm that information with the Fiato brothers, and based on that, if this information turns out to be true, the government would withdraw the request with respect to the cameras. It would still ask this court to impose substantive restrictions on questioning, but would withdraw the respect.
The scope of examination.
Yes.
Your Honor, could I just interject one thing, having participated in the interview of Larry Fiato, who is the next expected witness. Larry Fiato indicated, and I've asked if I can put this on the record, and I've been informed by the federal lawyers that it is appropriate. He has a job, a very good job, and in our interview with him, he did express concern that he doesn't want anything to happen to that job. And so I don't know if, perhaps in her efforts to confirm the information that was indicated earlier, perhaps the representative from the United States Attorney's Office could also check with Mr. Fiato on that aspect.
All right. Well, then what I suggest we do is take a 15-minute recess. We can have counsel check with the proposed witnesses. We'll see what our status is, and we'll make a determination one way or the other. All right. All right, we'll stand in recess for 15.
Oh, we're going to stand in recess for way longer than 15 because you have pushed me past my limit today, Ito, allowing this circus to go on. Not only do we have this stupid testimony that means absolutely nothing, now we have ABC's lawyers coming to testify, to argue. All this time we're spending. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's right. It's right. We're gonna go to more ridiculous tomorrow. Tomorrow will be September 19th. And then remember, we have September 19th, the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd. So we have the full week. And then boom, right to September 26th. We skip 4 days. And the last day of this trial is October 3rd. Oh my gosh, we're so close that I just hit the end of the list in just a couple scrolls. Let me just double check. Thankfully, this part 2 is only an hour long. And part 3 of September 19th is only an hour long. Oh, and then we have a 6-minute one. And then we have a bunch of 2-hour ones. And then boom, short ones again. Bang, bang, bang. So, oof, oh man. Oh guys, we're so close. Okay. All right. It's okay. It's okay. We are going to ponder all the excellent court we saw today in OJ until we can see more of it tomorrow. It's going to be a long day of pondering, guys. I'll see you in about 24 hours. Have a good day, guys. Thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate it. Bye.